Hi, welcome or welcome back to Bookmas. In today's video we're going to be doing my top 24 books of 2024, and this was really hard to pick. I haven't had that many 5 stars or rememberable books, you could say, so this is not going to be in order except for the last 5 books. They will be in order but the rest won't. I'm just gonna go down the list, and if you see me looking at the side, I'm looking at my tablet. And then also at the end we're going to be doing books that I didn't love, so they are the books that I was disappointed by or I just didn't like. So first is Love Wager by Lynn Painter. This is the first book of Lynn Painter's I have read, so I was very excited to read by a new author and also a very popular author, so I'm glad that I liked this book. Actually, I loved this book. This book got me giddy, like I was kicking my feet, and I haven't had that feeling for a very long time. So yeah, this book made me fall back in love with rom-com books again, and I'm very appreciated by that because that's what I started my love of books from, is rom-com books. So yeah, I love the writing in this. Jack and Ali's relationship was so good, like one of my favourite relationships. They were so open with each other and there was no miscommunication. They were so communicated with each other and it felt very grown up, and yeah, I love it. The next book is Neon Gods by Kate Roberts. This is an AIDS and Persephone's retelling. I think it's a retelling, but I know it's AIDS and Persephone's, and I really enjoyed this book. I didn't expect to love AIDS so much. I thought that it would be like kind of like mean, you know how usually in fantasies or any kind of book, especially dark romance, the main male character is usually mean, and not mean, I don't want to say moral grey, okay, that's the word. They're usually moral grey and they usually keep to themselves and they're very grumpy, but in this, AIDS, he wasn't. He was so good and kind to Persephone. He was very protective of her really quickly, and I really enjoyed that in this book, and I can't wait to get into the next one. The next book is Gavin Park. I read this on Kindle, and this is an enemies to lovers romance, and one of the reasons why I love this book so much is because the enemies part didn't go away. Even when they started the relationship, there was still this enemies within the relationship, and I loved that. I feel like it was very realistic in the sense that all because they love each other, the enemies part didn't go. This was very emotional in the sense that there was Paul, and there was kind of loners because their parents wasn't really good parents, so they brought themselves up. Well, their older brothers bring them up, and the older brothers are best friends, so the main characters' parents kind of have them grow up hating each other, and then the older brothers didn't allow the dads to do that, so they became best friends. And they do have a book, it's called Knock Knock. They live in Caravan Park, and like I said, they're very poor and it's very like a small community, and they all stick together and help each other in the community. And yeah, it's kind of like them going through life and dealing with bad stuff and just yeah, getting through life and trying to make the best of their situation. And like I said, I love the enemies part. They didn't like each other at all, and the sexual attraction, like you could feel it so much. So yeah, I love this book. The next book is Ghosted. This is second chance single parent romance. So this is Kennedy and Jonathan romance, and Kennedy and Jonathan had a daughter, but Jonathan didn't know that he had a daughter, and he is a trouble actor, and he comes to the small town, and Kennedy works in a grocery store just to get food on the table, but she has more, she wants to do more with her life. And like I said, Jonathan comes to a small town, they bump into each other, and it's a whole thing of Jonathan wants to see his daughter, and there's a load of angst in this book, and there's a load of, do I let him in my art again or not? But the one thing that I do love about this book is she lets him see his daughter. There was a really good daughter and father bond, and there's a lot of scenes between the daughter and Jonathan. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book, and the writing was really good as well. This is one of the books that I want to reread. Yeah, I just really enjoyed this story and the characters. The next book is Let Me Love You. I read this on Kindle. This is a love triangle and a best friend romance, sweetheart romance. All through this, I loved the second male character, the one that she met in Ireland. I loved him, and I didn't like the best friend. But in the second one, I read the second one straight after this one, it switched so much. Like, I didn't like the guy in Ireland, but I liked the best friend. So it's kind of like that. It's like a back and forth thing of you liking one character, not liking the other, and sometimes liking both, and you don't know which one to choose. And yeah, this was a very emotional story, and it wasn't like, oh, I love him and I love him, but I don't know which one to choose. It was like, generally there was a reason why they had a fallout, like why the MF had a fallout with the best friend, and then there's a reason why, there's a reason for everything in this book, and I really enjoyed it, and it's a very emotional book, especially the second one. And I didn't see the plot twists coming in the second one. The next book is Follow the River, and I have recently read this, and this is an MM romance and a sports romance, so both of them play football. I really enjoyed getting into their emotions and their thoughts of each other and everything that they went through, especially Rain. His story is so heartbreaking, and it's, yeah, I'll check trigger warnings. It's just so heartbreaking. It was such a good book. The next book is Birthday Girl, and this is Jordan and Pike Lawson romance, and it's an age gap romance, and it's an ex-boyfriend's dad romance. And I swear this is the first book that I ever read of age gap and ex-boyfriend's dad, and that's what got me to love them two dramas, especially age gap, because Lawson was such a good guy to Jordan, and I think the age gap was, she was 19 and he was 30 something. Don't quote me on that though, I can't remember, but I think it is. This was such a good book. Like, it was such a forbidden book, and so much angst and sexual tension, and obviously the ex-boyfriend came into it as well, so there was that as well of Lawson and his son relationship as well, like how that affected it and all that. It was such a good book, and I love the romance, and Pike Lawson was such a daddy. I think in this book she called him daddy, and ever since that I don't know. And Good Girl, I can't remember, I think it was daddy though, but yeah, such a good book. The next book is Spark of the Everflame, and this is an fantasy. I really love the twists and turns and the romance. The romance is definitely a slow burn, and there's a lot of angst between the two characters. I really enjoyed this series. I read the book one after the other, so this is another book that I want to reread and take my time with the series. The next book is Spies Like Us. This is the second book to Spies Like Me, and this is a White Shoes. I think there's like 7 or 8 guys. The only guy that I remember is Max, and I think that he's the oldest and my favourite, obviously, from me remembering the name. different relationships between her and these guys. There's one that doesn't like at all, and between all of them and the main female character there's so much sexual tension. And in the second one, especially in the second one, the dynamic between the main female character and Max is crazy. Like, there's so much sexual tension and they argue so much, and the other guys are just looking, like, just watching them argue and bicker, and it's just so good. And they're like, nobody sticks up for him, only you. So yeah, a lot of sexual tension between all of them. There's different relationships as well, and obviously why they're dealing with the feelings for each other and the chemistry. There's also a mystery on the other side, and that's why in the first one they are sent away to spy and to find out something, and the second is in the high school. So yeah, this book was really good. I can't wait for the third one. I don't know when it's going to come out though, but I'm so excited. The next book is Daydream. This is the third book in the Mabel Hill series. I love this series. I really love this series, and I really love this book. This is Henry and Ali's book, and you would have seen Henry in the other books, and in this book he is the captain of the hockey team, and Ali is a reader and she has a book club. So yeah, one of the things that I really loved about this book was how they communicated. There wasn't no miscommunication between these two. They just opened up so much with each other, and there wasn't that much, like, no, usually in books there's usually drama between the couples. There wasn't any in this book. It was more with family members, which I really enjoyed, and that's also another reason why I like this book. You kind of like went along with the romance, and on the side there was this family drama. So yeah, I really enjoyed that, and Henry is such a golden retriever. I love him. The next book is The Veiled Kingdom. So this is, one thing I can remember with this book is, one, the ending, which I can't talk about, and two, it's a rebellion, and they take the main female character and the boss of the rebellion's son and the main female character, they kind of get feelings for each other and a relationship, and there's a lot of angst between them. And the ending was like one of my favourite books, and I really enjoyed that. The second one is out, so I need to read that. But yeah, I just remember feeling like this book is so good, and I really, like I said, really enjoyed it. The writing was really good, the romance was so good, and the angst between the characters and the side characters was so good. And again, the ending, so good. The next book is When Heroes Fall, and this is a mafia romance, and one of the big reasons why I loved this book was because Ella didn't let Dante walk all over her. Like, she stuck up for herself and put him in his place, even around his father figure and his men. She stuck up for herself and she put her foot down. And I think that's one of the reasons why Dante fell in love with her, because she wasn't shy. I really loved that aspect of the book. And obviously there was a lot of sexual tension, and I loved the flirting between these two characters. And another thing I love about this book was Beauty's Elena's best friend is gay, so Dante didn't feel threatened by him, so they also formed a friendship. But back to it, Elena and Beau's friendship. Beau is the only person that she let in until Dante. She put a really big fight up with Dante and he knocked it down, but with Beau, like, she's opened up to him so much now. They are best friends, and he kind of got her to get out of her comfort zone and kind of pushed her to do stuff, and was kind of like a hype girl, you could say. And yeah, and then also I love the fact that she picked him over everything. And yeah, it was a very big change and big thing that she did, and I really appreciate that Dante appreciated that from her. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book, and the writing was really good as well. So yeah, really enjoyed this book. The next book is 1,000 by Kisses. This book was so heartbreaking. This I didn't expect the ending. I know a lot of people said that this is heartbreaking, and I didn't expect to break so much. And I don't know if this would be classed as an happy ending. I guess it is, kind of, but yeah, this got emotional, and it got every emotional out of you. And when there was happy moments, you was also sad for the characters. The writing was so good, and like I said, I just loved this book. It was, I don't know what else to say, it was so heartbreaking. You have to read it to know what I'm on about, because I can't give spoilers. Just heartbreaking. The next book is Metal Slinger, and I read this recently. So this is fantasy. So the way that I can describe it is, there's two kingdoms. I don't want to say kingdoms, but there's two peoples, and one lives on land, one lives on sea. And the people on land ban the people on sea to come on land. That's why they live on sea, on boats and that. And every year the people on the sea can go to the people on land when no the people on sea can go to the people on land every year, but the only people that can do that are trainees in the guard and merchandise people, where they sell things or need to get like food or anything. So these group of people, the main female character and some other people, Kai I think his name is, and again other people, trainees, they go to this land and something happens, and then they get sent back home, and the main female character finds something, and the person that she sees on land when there was at the other place, he comes to where the main female character lives to give her details, to give her information. But obviously the people there don't know that, and it just goes crazy from there. And I didn't expect the ending. The ending was, yeah, I don't know. It was just, I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest. I didn't expect it. So yeah, the writing was really good as well. Like, but one thing I really love about this book was the angst between the main female character and the main male character. So good. There's also kind of like a love triangle in this between Kai, I think his name is, the main female character, and the main male character. I think he's the main male character, because I don't know. I'm so confused. That's why I think there's a love triangle. The next book is All Roads Lead Here. This is such a big book, but I enjoyed every single minute of it, and I love when Aurora goes hiking, because I love to go hiking as well. So I love the descriptions of where she went to hike. And then I also love Rhodes as well. He was such a grump. Like, it's like a grumpy sunshine. But yeah, he's such a grump. And then he's got a son, and I love the friendship between Aurora and the son. Like, they got so close, and just the scenes between all three of them. At first, Aurora and Rose don't get on, obviously, because he doesn't want her there. And yeah, he's such a grump, like I said, and I just love the angst between these two and the sexual tension. I really enjoyed this book. I also love the writing as well. Like, it's so big, but it didn't feel that big, so I got through it so quickly. Again, really enjoyed it. The next book is Heir of Broken Kingdom. This is the second book to Heir of Broken Fate, and this book was so good. The ending, one of the reasons why I love this book was the ending. I didn't see it coming. There was so much that happened in the end that I kind of lost my mind with it, and it's also a series that I want to reread because it was so good. And Knox isn't a typical fae king. It was really nice, and it wasn't like a grump or anything. It was just really nice, especially to the main female. And it was definitely like Akatar with the inner court. Like, there was, I think, one female character and two male characters, I think, but it felt very Akatar. But I wasn't mad by that. It just felt very like Omi, if that makes sense. And I knew what I was getting. The ending was a shocker, and yeah, so good, so good, and I can't wait for the third one to come out whenever that comes out. Okay, the next book is Only the Small Bones, and this is an MM romance, and there's a lot of trauma in this book and a lot of emotions, so check trigger warnings. This was the last book that I just read, and I still don't have a rating for it because I loved it so much. I was up until 4 o'clock reading this book and crying my eyes out. It was just so emotional. So this is William and Ryan's romance, and both of them have got a lot of trauma. So William is a founder to freedom fighters. So the FBI sometimes asks William to assist with human trafficking, and there's this case where the FBI asks him to help with Ryan because he's non-verbal and he doesn't let anyone touch him. William decides to have Ryan stay with him, and through that they bond and they kind of rely on each other, and that can be a good and bad thing. And in this book, it is a good and bad thing. Both of them have trauma, a lot of trauma, and one of the things that I love about this book is how the author has written both their traumas, and because Ryan's trauma is like, he went through so much that she didn't allow that overshadow William's trauma, so you kind of get both their traumas at the same time and one doesn't overshadow the other. And then also, what I really loved about this book and what the author did is that the trauma victim doesn't allow sex to overshadow their trauma and doesn't use sex to deal with trauma. And in this book, their relationship doesn't happen until near the end, I would say. Like, obviously they're fighting their attraction to each other, and at first when I did read this, I thought that it was going to be love at first sight romance and a really quick romance of them falling in love, but it didn't. It happened over the course of the book, which I loved. And yeah, I really enjoyed this book, and the ending was so good and so much angst. And also, because Ryan is non-verbal, I love the fact that William watches him for cues on his emotion. Stop looking. On his emotions and what he's thinking, and William is generally the only one that understands Ryan, which shows their connection, and it shows that Ryan is kind of allowing that. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book, and it could be a 5 stars. I don't know, because it's just so emotional. It was so good. Okay, let's get into the next one. The next one is Butcher and Blackbird. This was like, this is a dark romance, but it's like a funny dark romance. So this is Sloane and Rowan's romance, and both of them are serial killers. And this book was like so good and disgusting at the same time. There's a scene in this book which, if you have read, you would know, and it's so disgusting. I didn't realise that the person that was bad because I kind of liked him and I kind of felt sorry for him, but it was such a predictable thing to happen, which I'm like, why didn't I get that? Because it was so predictable, you know what I mean? So yeah, I was like, how did I not get that? But other than that, really enjoyed this book, and I really love Sloane and Rowan's relationship. Like how normal they talk about killing people and how they enjoy killing people. Like Sloane's thing is pulling out eyeballs, and she just talks about that like she's talking about the weather. So yeah, I just really enjoyed the writing as well. This book was so good and it was so dark, so check trigger warnings. The next book is Ace, and this is the first book in Madison Kate series. I read all of them back to back, but because I did that, I can't remember what happened in each book, so I should take my time next time I reread it, because I really did want to reread this series. But this book was so good, it took you on a roller coaster, and there was multiple things going on at once, and every book ended in a cliffhanger, obviously except for the last one, but every single one left off a cliffhanger which you didn't see. Like, I didn't see it coming, and I was so gobsmacked that it made me go on to the next one straight away, because I was like, what? So yeah, and also this is a why choose romance, so there's 3 guys and 1 girl, and I would say it's also like enemies to lovers. Yeah, it's enemies to lovers, and there's a lot of angst, especially between Madison and Archer. They was just throwing it down. They just was arguing all the time, and Steele and Cody was kind of like the in between. And usually in why choose romance, there's always one guy that kind of is sweet and golden retrieve, and that is Cody. He was such a sweetheart towards Madison, but when it came down to choosing sides, the guys would also always go with Archer. And yeah, and then eventually they wouldn't, and it was like a really good dynamic between all of them, and I just really enjoyed the writing as well. But the twists and turns was crazy. So the next books are my top 5 favourite books of this year, so let's get into it. The number 5 on the leaderboard is The Right Move. I love this book, and one of the reasons why I love this book was because of Ryan Shea. He is such a man, and I haven't stopped thinking about him since I've read this. And yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I really liked Indy as well, and their relationship, and how Ryan opened up to Indy and Indy opened up to him. And because Ryan is such like a loner, and he likes his okay, I won't say he's a loner, but he likes his alone time, I kind of related with him with that, and she helps him to connect with his teammates because he's on the basketball team, which I also really enjoyed as well. I haven't read a basketball romance, I don't think, so I really enjoyed that. And yeah, and you also see Stevie and Xander's from Mile High in this, So you kind of see their relationship progress, but it doesn't take away from Indy's and Ryan's romance. So yeah, I just really enjoyed this book, and I can't stop thinking about this book, especially with Ryan. So yeah, really enjoyed it. The next book is Pucking Around, and this is a Why Choose romance. This is a relationship between Rachel, Caleb, Jake and Amari, and even though this is a really big book, I read it so quickly. It was such a good book, and also it wasn't all about the smut, if that makes sense. Like, there was character development. There wasn't so much a plot, but it was definitely character development, and each guy character came in separately, if that makes sense. Like, all of them was in the book, obviously, all through it, but the relationship between them and Rachel and them, and also with the other guys, was separate as well. So you had Rachel's relationship with Jake and that building, and then a relationship with Caleb and that building, and a relationship with Amari and that building. And also there is sword crossing in this as well between Caleb and Jake, and they are best friends. And I love that Rachel out with that relationship. And yeah, I really enjoyed this book, and I didn't like Amari at first, but then I realised that he's the grump in the relationship. The grump is the one that likes to keep to himself, and the only person that he likes to be around is Rachel. So yeah, really enjoyed this book. The next book is Great and Precious Things, and this book was so good. I really enjoyed Camden and Willow's relationship. I love that Camden showed his emotions, because with guys they usually keep it in, but with Camden he definitely showed his emotions to the audience slash readers. So you kind of felt for him, and you felt the emotions that he was going through. And the only person that he would show the emotions to was Willow. And Willow she was in a relationship with his younger brother that he lost overseas from war. So yeah, he comes back with a lot of guilt and trauma, and he gets a phone call from his father that he doesn't get on with, and he doesn't get on with anyone, to be honest. Like, even the town doesn't like him, and that really like, I didn't like that. That really pissed me off, like how the town was treating him. And yeah, the only one that wasn't mean to him, and which I loved, was Willow. And yeah, I also really liked the ending of this book, and this book was very emotional. It got me in tears because of how Camden showed his emotions and how much trauma he's going through. Yeah, it was a really good book. The second book of 2024 is Powerless, and the reason for that is because I fell in love with Sloane and Jasper, and the friendship and the relationship that they built, because they are so close. Like, Jasper only opened up to Sloane, so she knew does everything about him, and I love that for them. And I love that Jasper just had enough of his jealousy for Sloane. He had so much trauma, and I love also that Sloane helped him with that, and they built the relationship on friendship, and the friendship didn't disappear because they decided to have a relationship. So yeah, there was a lot of loving and emotional, and yeah, I just love this book. Just love it. It's so good. And now on to my favourite book of 2024 is Reckless. And this is my only 6-star book of this year. I love this book. I haven't stopped thinking about this book. I even go back to this book and look at the quotes and read my favourite scenes, and the only books I've done that with is Fourth Wing, Say Swear. So this is up there with them two. So yeah, really enjoyed this book. I love the tension between Pei and Kai, and I agree with Lauren that this was a filter book between Powerless and Fearless. So I understand why people didn't necessarily like this book, but I loved it because again, this needed to happen. This book needed to happen. Their journey that they went on in this book needed to happen. The ending was so good, and I'm not happy with Lauren right now. I need the third book to come. So yeah, I just really loved this book, and again, love Pei and Kai's relationship and the angst. Just all of it. I just loved this book so much. It was so good. I need to reread it. That's what I need to do. Okay. They're all my top 24 books of 2024. Then we're going to go on to 3 books that I didn't love. So, first is Make Me. And one of the reasons why I didn't like this book was because it was so cringy. I didn't connect with the characters. I didn't even like the characters. And yeah, it was just so cringy. Like, I was like, no. Just no. It was just so cringy. I can't remember why it was cringy. I read it quite a while ago, but all I remember that it was cringy, and I didn't like it at all. And because it was Tessa Bailey, I expected to at least like it because she's one of my auto-buy authors, and yeah, I just didn't like this book at all. The next book is When the Moon Hatched, and one of the reasons why I didn't like this book was because I didn't understand it. So I don't know if it's fair if I've put it on this list, but it's on it anyways. And I definitely want to reread it to get a better understanding and take my time with the book and kind of digest the words and the world building because I didn't the first time. So yeah, I did expect to love it though, and I didn't because again one of the reasons was because I didn't understand it. So yeah, the next book is Part of Your World, and I didn't like the characters in this, and it was kind of like disappointing because I heard such good things about this book, but I love the writing. That's why I want to read another Abby Jimenez book. So if you got any ideas of what book to read next, comment down below because I need ideas. But yeah, I didn't like this book, and I think one of the reasons was because it's an age gap, but she is the oldest. I haven't read a book of that kind yet. I've always read an age gap where he is older, so it kind of like pulled me away from it a little bit. And again, I just didn't connect with the couple, the relationship, or anything really. So yeah, kind of a little bit disappointed with this book. The last one is Changed, and this is a fantasy romance. And so basically this is about a female character who got kidnapped when she was a baby, and she goes through a lot of trauma, and she gets rescued by this group of people who are there to find the princess, and they tried to find the princess for 21 years. She just turned 21, and they're this guardian people from the king, and she's the lost princess. So yeah, she's been gone for 21 years, and there's this guy who's on this guardian thing. His father is like the captain, and they are assigned to find the princess, and he's been looking for her for 21 years. One of the reasons why I was so disappointed with this book, because from the synopsis it sounded so good, but I didn't like it. I skimmed read this book, and one of the reasons why, because I wanted to find out what happened, and the reason why it was such a disappointment because it didn't show the trauma with the princess, like the trauma that she went through. Like, she talks about it a little bit, but not the physical trauma like of her I don't know, like waking up in the middle of the night and screaming. I don't know. But it didn't have any of that. It was more about the guardian, the main male character, and the female character relationship. And I just felt like that the main male character, didn't have any. It was kind of like pushing her to have feelings for him and to push that relationship along. And I'm like, give her a second. She's been gone for 21 years. All of this is new for her, and she's been through so much. So kind of like step her back a little bit and give her some time. And yeah, it was kind of like pushy with her, and it was just too insta loving for me either. I felt like there should have been like something, I don't know, it just felt like too insta loving. And yeah, but I will say the ending was pretty good. So yeah, I just didn't like that. And now it's the end of this video, and again, that is all the books on my top 24 books of 2024, and 3 books that I didn't love. If you like this video, press the like button down below, and if you want to stick around, press the subscribe button, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye guys.